Okay, let's start.
All right.
Tell me your name and where you grew up.
Okay. My full name was Margaret Ann O'Sullivan. And then I married Bob Mitton. So now my name is Peggy Mitton.
Okay, good. How did you meet your husband?
I met him at the Ocean View Ballroom in Revere. He was a great dancer, a really great dancer. And we actually won dance contests at different times. It was strictly waltz, foxtrot, not what they do today.
What type of music was it?
Oh, Glenn Miller. We would travel around to see Count Basie, Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman, all the oldies, the goodies.
And where did you grow up? And tell me about what things were like when you grew up.
I grew up on Wilbur Street in Everett. I was born on Dow Avenue, Arlington. When I was 5 years old, my father and mother moved to Wilbur Street, Everett, which happens to be right down the street from where I live now. And, excuse me, he worked for Esso. He was a machinist. And we bought the house, and it was a small house, but we had 6 kids in it, and it was a great house. And it was right backed up to the cemetery, which people cringe when you tell them that, but it was the best place you could possibly play. You could play hide and seek behind the gravestones. You could, once in a great while, there would be a vault that would be open.
There'd be a what?
A vault that would be open, and it was a big deal to go into the vault. And then there was a place in the cemetery where it was a small pool. And in the winter, we could ice skate there. And we thought nothing of going off and putting our skates on, sitting on a casket box, putting our skates on, and go over and skate in the pool. And it was great fun. And the cemetery was in the middle of the city. On the left-hand side was Woodlawn. On the right-hand side was Everett. It was all part of Everett, but we didn't consider the Woodlawn as part of Everett. And we were terrified of them. They were probably the nicest kids in the world, but we were terrified of the Woodlawners. And if the cry would go out, the Woodlawners are coming, we'd all take off and run home. I never knew why we were afraid of the Woodlawners, but we were.
That was a different community?
Yeah, well, it was a part of Everett. It was just a different section of Everett, but it was the Woodlawners. And now one of my best friends lives on the street over there. I still call her, you're a Woodlawner.
And what's your religion and ethnicity?
I'm Irish Catholic. My father and mother were both born in Ireland, and they came over. My father came over here and my mother too in 1925. They took the boat into New York. My father did. My mother came into Charlestown, and they were married at St. Mary's Church in Charlestown.
And do you know why they came here from Ireland?
To be honest with you, my father was a drinker. And my mother thought if she got him away from Ireland, she could straighten him out. It didn't work. He was a good father, but he liked his drink.
Well, what did he drink?
Beer. Strictly beer. But he was a very good father, but he just was a plain old drunk.
Are there any memorable experiences about growing up that, like with your siblings, when you get together, you would share, remember the time?
Oh, yeah, we do that whenever possible. We were supposed to get together on the 29th of this month, but now all of a sudden it's falling apart. But I still have, my brother Brian died, and my sister Pat died, and we miss them terribly. But we still are friendly with Brian's wife and Pat's husband.
Describe what they were like.
Pat was, without a doubt, the most stubborn person you ever met in your life. And I can tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
When we were kids, we used to sleep in the house was small, and there were 6 kids.
Uh-huh.
So we had 4 girls in one room, and we had two boys in the other room.
Yeah.
And then my father and mother in the third room.
Yeah.
And then Pat and I slept together. And we used to draw an imaginary line down the middle of the bed. And it was her side and my side. And if you dare put your foot over that imaginary line, you were in serious trouble. Serious trouble. And now that I think about it, I laugh. But we really meant it. And Pat was so stubborn. You just couldn't tell her anything. She knew everything. And if she were at the top of the stairs and you'd say, "Excuse me, may I get by?" And she'd say, "No." So finally one day, out of desperation, it just pushed her and she went all the way down the stairs. Thank God she was all right, but that's how stubborn she was. And Brian was just a great guy. He was a very sympathetic, quiet man. And I really miss Brian. He was so kind and so nice. He died of leukemia. And the worst part of that was the day they told him he would never be able to work again. Absolutely broke his heart because he was just a good man, and that would have been his life. Take care of his wife and his children and to be able to work and provide for them.
What was his job?
He worked for, oh my goodness, I can't remember the name of the company. It was a computer company at the time, and he worked on one of the first real computers. When he was in the service, they sent him to the University of Chicago, and he worked on a computer, and the computer, he would tell us, was as big as a room, the original computers, and with big fences around it and guards and whatnot. But of course it was over my head. I didn't have an idea of what he was talking about. And my sister Eileen, still with us, she's a year older than I am. She is one of the funniest women you'd ever want to meet. She really and truly is. She's just a delight. My sister Cecilia is out in Lenox, Mass. I talk to both of them every night. And we have a great relationship. My brother Mike, he's retired now. He was a professor at UMass Lowell. And now he's doing volunteer work and taking kids out on boats and teaching. He was a biology major. So whatever he's into. He's married to Edna. She's a psychologist. So I always had the feeling when Edna said hello and she said, "How are you?" It was kind of serious. You better really be able to talk to her. "Oh, I'm fine. Is everything all right?" "Everything's fine, Edna." And we just had a really good life. Good life.
And tell me about your immediate family. What kids did you have? What were they like?
Well, Bob and I got married. We had Peggy, number one, then Kathy, number two, Bobby, number three. And this all happened the way I planned it. 2 girls. Then we had 2 boys, Bobby and Stephen. Then I was tired of that, so then we had a girl, Maureen, and then we had a boy. So it was perfect. And they were great. They were good kids, really good kids. We all had our little problems off and on, but nothing very serious, thank God. And they've all grown up, and I am so fortunate that I have such a good family. And when Bob was sick, 2 years he was in hospice, which is quite unusual. Usually you're in hospice 3 months, 4 months, but he lasted 2 years. We had him in the living room in a hospital bed. Peggy would come over 1 day a week. Kathy would come 2 days a week. Bobby would come every morning. He worked 11 to 7. He would come in the morning on the way home from work to make sure that everything was all right, help me give him a bath and whatnot. Stephen comes to this day, comes every day to see me when he gets out of work. And John was the baby, and he was just great. They all were. I don't know how he stayed alive as long as he did, and he didn't suffer, which is, thank God. He had a brain tumor, a very large brain tumor. And but even if he were laying there and you think he was comatose, we would be talking and he would come up with some kind of a funny remark. He knew. This is a funny story. He told the kids at Christmas time, "Your mother wants a gold bracelet." Believe me, I did not want a gold bracelet. I had never mentioned a gold bracelet, but he had it in his mind. So he told Sue that I wanted a gold bracelet, Bobby's wife. He told Kathy that I wanted a gold bracelet. And he told, I think it was Maureen, that I wanted a gold bracelet. So Christmas morning they all came, and I had 3 gold bracelets. Believe me. So I said, "Oh, hon," I said, "that was so nice of you to give me a gold bracelet." He said, "Well, you certainly hinted enough for it."
You certainly what?
Hinted enough for it.
Is what he said? That's funny.
It was so funny. So I had the kids return the bracelets. Believe me, I didn't want a gold bracelet, but he never knew. So.
Can you think of any other funny stories of anything with your kids or your brothers or sisters?
Offhand, there's so many, but I can't really think of them. I can think of more funny things. I think one strange thing in life is where you meet people that you don't expect to meet and where you meet them. And Bob and I had gone to the Bahamas, and we were sitting on the beach, and a young couple came walking by, and turned out to be the kids that lived across the street from us. And I thought that was so strange. And we were out in Vegas, and I was walking to the casino. Bob was over playing cards, blackjack. And I saw Bob Crocker, and I said, "Bob, what are you doing here?" He said, "Oh, we came out for a few days." Now, I was very, very friendly with his wife, but I didn't know they had planned to go to Vegas. So I said, "Where is she?" And he said, "She's over there playing blackjack." And there was Bob at one end of the table and Claire at the other end of the table. They were playing cards for hours. Neither one of them knew that it was our friends. And then the following year, we met her son at another casino out of the blue. And believe it or not, the third year, we met her second son at an even different casino in Vegas. And I always thought that was the strangest thing in the world.
Did you ever see any celebrities or famous people in your life?
I don't think so. I remember once I went to a parade when we were kids, and they had this great big parade with all these movie stars and whatnot. For what reason, I'll never know, but Boston was jam-packed, and we went to that, but I never met anybody really important.
Well, what big news events happened in your life, either national, world, or in your community?
I think Obama is a big event, believe me. I think Iraq, Afghanistan, I think the way the world has changed is just terrible. There's so much hate, and they under the guise of religion, which I think is awful. I can't think. I remember when Roosevelt died, and we were all so very sad. And then when JFK died, I remember I was coming back from the store with my friend Honey, and someone told us that JFK had died, and we couldn't believe it. And I remember we were in the house, and I told the kids, and Bobby, who was about 9 years old, I think, he walked out of the house. It was the saddest little thing. He walked down the street to church, and the tears were coming down his cheek. It was just a little kid. And I always, that was the most moving thing I ever saw. And then we all cried for days, 3 days. We were all in front of the TVs crying. And of course, 9/11, another heartbreak. My husband was a fireman, so 9/11 was all those firemen that died. They all first responder went into this building, everybody runs away and firemen run in. And it's just amazes me that that's what they do.
What did you think about the Boston bombing?
I thought it was tragic. I think it's wonderful the way people have backed up these people, how they supported them. I think it's just amazing, and I think it's wonderful to see. Maybe, if nothing else, it makes it realize how lucky we are, that we're in a country where people can get together and support each other, and I think I think it showed everybody that we're good people, that we have a few.
Something good came out of a bad thing.
Certainly did. Certainly did.
What lessons would you say you've learned in life?
I have no. I can't pass one. And it's just be kind to people, be considerate, be thoughtful. That's all you can do. Try to support your city. I think that's a very important one.
What?
Support your city. If you live in the city, get involved. Get involved with the people in your neighborhood. Get involved with your city government. Try to help your city. If we would all take care of our own little cities, we'd all be in better shape.
And I guess you feel that you can have effect by being involved, right?
Oh, yes, definitely. I was on the school committee in my city for 12 years, which I loved. And I've been on the library board for about 15 years, which I like.
This video will be archived with the library.
Oh, my goodness.
That's the new library.
Oh, dear. Well, I don't know if I like that. I like to see books. I like to see racks of books and people going in and sitting at the desk. And I like being in the library. I like being in the library atmosphere. I find librarians are the smartest people in the world. They are the brightest people, and they're always so willing to help you. I love libraries.
And one question I always ask people is, how would you like to be remembered?
It's a good person. That's all.
Well, I think you'll be remembered that way.
Let's hope.
I'm sure you will.
And it's been a pleasure talking to you, Larry.
Okay. Any other comments you want to say?
Well, I think it's absolutely amazing that all my girls have married such wonderful men. I think that, and I'm talking about my grandchildren, my kids, they all married good people. They all educated their kids. They all bought their own houses. I think they're wonderful. And along come these grandchildren that I love. And they've all married, the ones that are married, they've married such good men. I think that's wonderful. I think that's wonderful. And two grandsons that are now close to getting married. They have two wonderful girls. I think that's, what more can you ask for? And here I have great grandchildren, but I'll tell you one thing. It's not as much fun being a great grandmother as being a grandmother. Because you have to go to too many people to get to the kids. So that's all I have to say.
Excellent. Let me turn it off. Good job.
Probably absolute bore.
What? No, that was great.